Arab Tov Chabrim, I'm Stephen Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Very serious things happening on the border with Israel in the Golan there. Israeli warplanes have launched missile attacks on Syrian army positions in Quneitra. That's right there on Israel's border. And of course, this is after mortar shells landed inside of Israel because of clashes that are ongoing between the Syrian government and the rebel forces that they're encountering there on their border. According to what the Syrian officials were saying there, they would continue to fight against the terrorists that are there on their borders, even if it is on the border of Israel there. And from what we were able to glean as well from this airstrike there were no immediate deaths reported from the Syrian military. It was mainly structural damage that was done. But nonetheless, as Prime Minister Netanyahu stated, he will always fight back when it comes to anything that falls inside of Israel's territory and holding President Bashar al-Assad accountable for that. At the same time, though, General Mattis is inside of inside of Israel right now. He is meeting with the Israeli officials there, including that of Prime Minister Netanyahu. And in a report by USA Today, Mattis stated here, Syria retains chemical weapons and has dispersed its warplanes. It is anticipating another strike by U.S. forces. And what's really strange, in my estimation on this may come on the heels of a U.S.-led strike on North Korea. They may end up going after them both simultaneously. We may really see a catalyst of a world war breaking out very rapidly and in the very coming days. I hate to say that, and I hope that that's not going to be the case. I pray that it won't be the case. But as we're beginning to watch these things mount and we see things that are being stated, and of course General Mattis here claiming that Syria does have the chemical weapons. Well, I agree that there are chemical weapons in Syria, but I believe, even as Syrian President Bashar al-Assad just stated today that he has been able to determine with certainty the chemical weapons are coming through the the country of Turkey by President Erdogan and being delivered into the hands of the militants and the different rebel fighting faction forces to use in order to blame on his own country. And that there is enough evidence, more than enough evidence that's been brought out that proves that this is actually the case. And so I hate to see that Israel is actually siding with the United States as false propaganda information on this issue here when the evidence has been overwhelming. And we're talking about evidence, especially with Aaron Erdem, who was a Kurdish parliament member inside the parliament within Turkey there. And the Kurds have always been a long, close ally of the Israeli people. And when Aaron Erdem is disclosing the information that Turkey is working with other partners inside of NATO to smuggle sarin gas into the country, then the Israeli government should have also taken this into account, that this had nothing to do with Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria. But unfortunately, it's a much bigger issue than that, and it looks like that there definitely will be another strike on Syria in the coming maybe even weeks at most, and I'm concerned that it is going to be kind of on the heels with the North Korean strike, because I say that if Russia actually gets involved or China gets involved in protecting North Korea, it could easily spiral into an all-out nuclear war or even a ground war between the different nations there. The United States has stepped up their own forces inside of Eastern Europe, bringing in the F-35s there already. There's already a huge number of soldiers there on the border in the Baltics there. There is air defense systems being moved around in different places there since the coup inside of Turkey, the staged coup in order to be able to justify moving nuclear weapons from Turkey into Romania, making that more in striking distance of Russia as well. No doubt they have utilized some of the strategic positioning of Ukraine, maybe even to move more military hardware inside of Ukraine as well. So I'm watching these different things build up, watching the scenarios of what's happening, and you just cannot help but wonder what's going to be the next move, what's going to be the very spark that ignites this entire World War scenario. And of course, we were reported the other day, or shared with us, that some of our videos, especially the ones that I did on the United States military with the British military crossing the border inside of Syria from Jordan. People were telling me that my news broadcasts on that have disappeared in their countries. Select countries have been disappearing on that. Well, that just kind of lets us know that we're probably hitting the nail on the head in order for them to be wanting to remove these type things. And of course, it also reminds me too that and more than ever, we do need your help in keeping these type broadcasts going. So if you'd like to be a part of it, please definitely subscribe to this channel. Also, above the subscribe button, we have a place there where you can donate as well. Please donate and help us to keep these messages on air. I'm not finished with the news either, by the way. Just want to make that point there. I haven't done it in a while, so I want to kind of just encourage you to please help us to do that. Also, IsraeliNewsLive.org, donation place there as well. Let's keep on moving, though, in this news broadcast. What I want to look at here also, Sputnik is reporting that the Japanese have actually have sent 2 of their warships to join the U.S. Armada that is approaching the North Korean waters there in order to possibly engage Kim Jong-un. And there again, as I've stated all along, Kim Jong-un has certainly put himself into a very precarious situation. But I do find it rather kind of awkward that the United States is not allowing sanctions that China is doing to have a greater effect on Kim Jong-un. And instead, looks like only after maybe a couple of weeks of a trial there, they're ready to go to war. Now, some might argue that there's been sanctions on North Korea for years and it never has worked or deterred them. But then again, only China has ever had such a huge, massive impact on the country with sanctions, with 81% of their trade coming from China. So I'm like, again, I'm very concerned that we haven't at least given this as a greater option. Now, people would probably argue too and say, well, he's continually talking about doing a preemptive strike. Yes, that's very dangerous, no doubt. I know that this is a serious situation, and I realize that the American government has to make a decision on what to do about that. I just find it just a little bit odd, though, that all the world stage is getting ready for war. And it's almost seemingly not that it's being done out of the need for dealing with someone that has nuclear weapons like Kim Jong-un, but more so for a different purpose altogether. And maybe they're trying to get Russia and China to retaliate on the United States in order to crush freedom of speech in the United States. After all, Russia has finally passed their law banning the Jehovah's Witness organization in their country, confiscated their properties, etc. Some people might say, well, you know, they need it. They're a bad group to begin with. And I don't agree with their doctrines personally, but I think it's a dangerous situation what happened to them inside of Russia, because it sets a precedent of what we can probably look for in a new world order as well. Everything that does not agree with the mainstream religions, such as the Russian Orthodox or the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, there could end up being banned and your property confiscated and your bank's assets taken as well. This is why you see more of a one world religion that the Pope of Rome has been pushing as well, and that's exactly why the churches have been joining back in with Mother Rome there. As the Pope of Rome said, your money won't save you. So that's something that's very serious and something that we can probably see, not just with Jehovah's Witnesses, but many other groups that are not willing to comply or go along with a one world religion, or at least with a keep your mouth shut. And I think this is why they would like to bring down the United States, because right now the freedom of speech is something that is a major danger for a new world order, and they would like to silence the U.S. This may be why we're seeing all this buildup, all these threats. North Korea, well, just something in order to be able to justify it. And it is a justification, no doubt, when you're worried about a preemptive strike of a nuclear weapon on the U.S. But then again, Syria, another issue. Why has the United States spent so much time involved in toppling all the Middle Eastern countries, all the Arabic nations in the Middle East practically? Iraq, Syria, Iran's on their hit list as well. Libya, Egypt, Yemen, you know. And what's so funny is the first wars were justified because of 9/11, the Twin Towers coming down and 2,000 Americans being murdered. And yet Saudi Arabia, one of the main co-conspirators, at least the people that, you know, they claim was behind it, was the Saudis. And what's even more funny is that the Saudis were never targeted, only funded with more military equipment to help fight all the other Arabic nations. Just seems a little bit strange, doesn't it? At any rate, continuing on here, this here is Russia's military here. The Russian military has finally admitted, yes, they do have their military down in this area called Vladivostok, and which is only 8 miles from the North Korean border. They're claiming it's there for an incoming parade, but that's confirmed by TASS, Russian news agency there. But it's just a bit odd that all this equipment has been sent down there. They're not mentioning anything about the air defense missile system that was also sent to this region there. But in fact, they're not even showing that in any of the photographs that are down there, but clearly the trains were definitely taking it in that direction there as well. U.S. tanks and other military hardware. Looks like we got bump from Lorenzo's channel there. Let me try to back it up again. Here we go. U.S. tanks and military hardware spotted in Noryang-yin Station, South Korea, heading northeast, which of course going to the North Korean border there. And as you can see here by the photos here that he's got on his page there, it is a train that pulled up into the station. There are tanks on that train. And of course, the photographs, you can't really see the images very well. Also, there are truckloads of tanks being moved as well in North Korea. We've seen photos that Lorenzo has shared on his site as well of all these tanks headed up into that direction there. Clearly, we are getting in a very, very serious situation globally, not just with North Korea, but globally. There is a threat of world war everywhere, and even in South America, Venezuela, the destabilizations there, the destabilizations inside of Western Europe with the refugee crisis and the continuing shootings and murders and rapes and all these type things here. Why have they suddenly decided to bring to this world, to this condition, is beyond me. Anyway, I'm Stephen Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Again, check us out, israelinewslive.org. Check out our website there if you'd like to contribute to help support the work we do here. We do appreciate your continued support. Tomorrow evening, European time, I'll be sharing another message, part 2, about this whole issue and how to deal with what no doubt is obvious of a demon invasion of this earth. What did God have in mind for us? I'm going to share some things with you that I think will be very insightful, and you may get to find out exactly why he said, I counsel of you to buy of me gold tried in the fire. I'm Stephen Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Shalom.